Think about a thought you've had so many times that you don't even notice it. So it's not just this loud, dramatic thought, but it's usually a subconscious, quiet one. It's things like, um, I'm already behind. If I slow down, everything will fall apart. I have to keep everybody happy. What's another one? If I disappoint people, they'll leave. I should be further along by now. And most of us think those thoughts are just observations, but they're not. They are beliefs. And a lot of our lives are built around beliefs we never consciously chose. That realization changed my life because for years I thought I was just reacting to life, but really I was reacting to the meaning I had attached to life. That is the foundation of REBT, which stands for Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, which is not just what happened, but what story did I immediately attach to what happened? And most of us never stop long enough to question the story. So let me show you what I mean. Let's say somebody does not text you back. That is called the activating event. That part is neutral, but instantly your brain attaches meaning to it. They're upset with me. I said something wrong. I'm annoying, whatever it is, or they don't care about me. And your body reacts to that belief as if it is reality. So now your chest is tight, you feel anxious, you start overthinking, maybe you shut down emotionally to protect yourself, maybe you people please harder next time, maybe you avoid vulnerability altogether. I don't know. It's the same event, but it's a different belief, different emotional outcome. And this is why two people can experience the exact same situation. Oh, my mic is working. And respond completely different because beliefs shape emotional reality. And what's wild is that most of those beliefs formed before we were even mature enough to evaluate them. They formed through family, through culture, religion, school, relationships, trauma, honestly, even praise, rejection. I mean, you heard something enough times or experienced something enough and eventually your nervous system just stopped treating it like a possibility and now it thinks it's just the holy grail, it's the truth. That's why some women physically cannot rest without guilt because somewhere along the way they absorbed productivity equals worth. And now every time they sit down, their body feels unsafe. Did you know there's a market to be a rest coach? That shows you how much this is needed. Some women learned being easy to love keeps people close, so now they over adapt to relationships automatically. Another example, some women learned if I make a mistake, I lose love, so perfectionism becomes protection. And what looks like personality is really sometimes survival. That was a huge realization for me because there were thoughts I had repeated for years that I genuinely thought were just facts. Thoughts like, I need to have everything figured out before I begin. If I fail publicly, people will lose respect for me, and now I just go. If I stop performing, I'll become irrelevant. And I didn't realize how much of my life was being built around thoughts I never actually sat down and challenged. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And people often connect the phrase to modern concepts like neuroplasticity or positive psychology, which has its place, but it's not just about thinking positively, it's about questioning what has been shaping your mind in the first place. Not every thought sounds like God. It means asking, where did this belief come from? Does this actually sound like God talking to me? Or does it sound like fear? Does it sound like shame, survival? Not every thought deserves permanent residence in your mind. And one of the most powerful things I ever learned was this. Your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. They're often telling you what your nervous system has practiced the longest, which is very different. So now when I feel emotionally activated, I slow down and I walk myself through it differently, intentionally. I ask, what actually happened? Then what belief immediately attached itself to this. And the biggest question, again, is does this belief sound like the voice of God? Because God convicts, but shame condemns. And there is a huge difference. So conviction says this behavior is hurting you. Come closer. Condemnation says you are the problem. Hide. And the enemy's job is to keep you in darkness, shrinking away from God and from others. So how do you stop this? Think of your mind like a bouncer at a door, if you ever went clubbing in your young age. Every thought has to show its ID. If it's condemning, you stop it at the door. If it's convicting, but it's wrapped in grace, you let it in. And I think so many women have spent years listening to shame and calling it wisdom. So here's a real example. A woman rests for one afternoon, let's say, and immediately the thought appears, you're wasting time. That is the belief. Now, her body feels guilty, restless, anxious, so she gets up and starts cleaning or working again. And it's not that she thinks rest is wrong, but because of the belief attached to rest, which is rest makes me lazy. Do you see how powerful that is? The thought shapes the emotional outcome. The emotional outcome shapes behavior, and the behavior reinforces identity. And eventually, the pattern becomes, this is just who I am. No, this is what your mind has rehearsed. And the beautiful thing is, beliefs can be challenged. It's not a magical overnight process, but slowly, one disputed thought at a time, one pause at a time, one new response at a time. That is why I always say the goal is not perfection, but awareness. Once you become aware of the belief, you stop living completely controlled by that belief. And honestly, I think some of the most life-challenging healing starts with one simple question. Who would I be without this thought? Without the fear-based belief underneath it? Because maybe the woman underneath all the conditioning is calmer, more alive, and more whole than you think. Maybe she's just been buried underneath years of rehearsed fear. And maybe healing is not, like I said before, becoming someone new, but finally questioning the thoughts that kept you away from yourself. If this resonated with you, the 7-day return is in my description. It's for women like you. And I want you to tell me in the comments, what is one belief you are finally starting to question? Who would you be without this belief? Who would you be if you saw yourself how God sees you, beautifully and wonderfully made? Can you even imagine? I'm Liya, and I make these videos to remind you that you are not behind. You are allowed to take up space, and life is still inviting you to the dance floor. So come dance with me. Stay on beat. Bye.